You're watching Building Real Estate Wealth Through Probate with Nate Arnold, that probate guy, helping you build generational wealth.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, we are talking all about reverse mortgages and probate, the overlooked goldmine. Let's get started. Hello, Nate.
Hi, Robyn. How are you? And this is a great topic to be talking about right about now, too.
Good, because I'm sure people are going to have a lot of questions, including me. So here we go.
All right.
As we said, yes. So get ready to take some notes. If you aren't familiar with these terms, you will be by the end of our short session today. Reverse mortgages and probate. And Nate, that probate guy, is going to explain why. So Here we go. Nate, first off, tell us, what are reverse mortgages?
Well, a reverse mortgage is a mortgage, first of all. It's essentially a mortgage that's designed for older people who have equity in their homes and yet desire to maybe not pay a monthly mortgage. So this is designed for people, say, over 62 years of age, and who have a lot of equity in their home or own it outright. The mortgage is designed so that they will receive a monthly payment rather than have to pay a mortgage, and they can do renovations or use the money for medical expenses or things of that nature. So they don't, in essence, have to pay a monthly mortgage. Instead, the bank gives them a monthly fee.
Okay, so they're tapping into the equity of their home.
Exactly.
Okay, now, how does reverse mortgages and probate fit together?
Well, that's a great question. Probate often happens when a person dies. Because the person who's getting a reverse mortgage is over 62, their lifespan is not going to be as long as, say, a younger person. So when a person gets a reverse mortgage, three things can happen. They can either sell the property, they can either move, or when they pass, then the mortgage goes back to the property, goes back to the bank. Essentially, the bank, it becomes due at that point when the person dies, moves, or refinances.
All right. So now, building on this scenario, I think it would be really helpful for the viewers to walk us through maybe a recent example to connect the dots here.
Okay, we've had several very, very good examples. One was in Northeast DC on 31st Place. Now, this family, the mother died. She was about 93, and she did not have a trust, and subsequently she had a reverse mortgage. Because she had a reverse mortgage, and this is the property right in front of us, we had to step in and help the family actually do the probate paperwork. We had to help them actually fill out what's called the petition for probate, and the son who was living in the house with his two sisters. And so the bank, of course, when the mother died, her name was Miss Davis. When she passed, the loan became due and payable. The family had not done the probate at all, and so they needed our help with that part of the process. We came in to find out that the property was underwater. In other words, the bank was owed more than the property was worth. So that became part of what we had to now negotiate. So now not only was it a probate case, but the property was underwater. It was going to be a short sale. A short sale means that the bank is not going to get any money, and neither should the family in this case. So we had to intervene. We had to negotiate with the bank to get the bank to reduce the amount that was owed, which is called a short sale, which we did. And subsequently, we sold the property to an investor. And the investor, Robyn, got it for a great deal. The investor got it for over $100,000 less than what had been owed on it previously. But this is the great part of it. If this were in the Olympics and we were on the high dive, this particular case would have been an 11, not a 10, because what we also were able to do As you can see here on the screen, the bank gave the person who was living in the property, which was an heir, the son to Miss Davis, gave the estate $46,000. So the family got money. The investor got a terrific deal. We got our commission, and the bank was happy because they got the property sold. That's a win, 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 win situation for everybody involved. This, so that you know, Robyn, does not happen very often. This was a tremendous opportunity, and probate allows itself for these kind of opportunities.
Wow, that was a brilliant example, because you walked us through how the bank got their money because they
Right.
could have just basically evaporated, right? I mean,
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
Very
then
much so.
you explained the short sale, and then you explained that little incentive on the transaction line of the extra incentive that was paid to, did you say the personal representative or the family
That's
member?
exactly right. The personal representative who was the son of the deceased. Correct.
And then you or your team also was able to put this whole deal together, and somebody from your team benefited from the profit of the sale. That was
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. But let me just interject here too, because this is important. A lot of people, Robyn, walk away from these reverse mortgages because they don't understand them and because they think they're not going to get any money. But this case proves both of those are fallacies.
So what happens in a case where an heir discovers, without, maybe they didn't even know that their family member had a reverse mortgage? What happens in that case, and who do they even call or turn to?
That happens so often, Robyn. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of times people aren't aware that the family even had a mortgage. But the same process applies. What they need to do is they need to understand that when the person dies, the loan becomes due and payable. They normally have about 6 months to resolve that issue. They can either sell the property or buy the property or what have you. So the clock starts ticking immediately once a person dies if they have a reverse mortgage. In addition, the probate clock starts to tick once the letters of administration have also been gotten. So there are two timelines that are going on simultaneously. So unless they have the know-how to negotiate with the bank and to deal with the probate estate at the same time, it becomes very complicated to people that don't know what they're doing. So they need to really seek out an experienced agent, let me say that again, who can help them through the process. And that's, again, where probate comes in, because we have that experience to help many of those people, as well as investors who are negotiating those same scenarios.
Wow, there's a lot to this. And they may even have to fix up the home in certain cases, right?
In most cases, understand, in most cases, again, reverse mortgages are designed for people over 62 years old. They're at a point in their life, a stage in their life where they have retired most often. They're not spending a lot of money on the property. The way it is the way it's going to be. And subsequently, most probate reverse mortgages need quite a bit of work. And we've stated this before in the previous episodes. So they're walking into a situation where there are multiple moving parts, and they need to really get expertise to help them resolve the issues around probate. That's why probate also lends itself to great opportunity.
Yes, you just have to know exactly the process. You have to know an expert like yourself and your team. And for investors that are watching, and maybe they might get interested in learning more, tell us a little bit about your academy. And I know you have a free book that you can download right here. Click the link below in the description. But talk about the Probate Prosperity Academy that helps people, guide them through this process.
Well, Robyn, because we saw the need to assist people, and we saw that a lot of investors were fearful about probate and things like reverse mortgages, we said, okay, if they understood it better, they could take advantage of the opportunities. And so we created the Probate Prosperity Academy to assist people to demystify the process, to help people understand that don't shun this gold mine. Instead, we will help you dig it. And that's what we're doing.
Right.
We are the pick and the shovel, so to speak. So we will train them on how to locate a probate property. We call that the research phase, the 4 R's we talked about before.
Yes, we have that right over here. Yes, let me go ahead and take a screenshot of that. For those of you that have your phone, you can take a screenshot and that'll take you right to the free e-guide that Nate is talking about, the 4 R's of probate.
The 4 R's of probate real estate investing are quite simple. And we really elaborate upon those in the book and in our academy. The first R would then be the research. Then there's the reach out, where you're actually contacting the personal representatives or their attorneys. Then there's the resolution, which we're talking about also today with the reverse mortgages. And then finally, there's reward. And we have an example of that, I believe, that's also coming up. So the 4 R's demystify the process. They simplify the process so that investors and agents can learn how to do probate quickly without being afraid of it and make a tremendous amount of money once they learn to do it right.
That's great. I really think you're touching on an area that so few are familiar with. They understand it. They might not understand it even as an investor, that this is a possibility for them in real estate. So Nate, walk us through the myths, the mistakes, and misconceptions that come up when it comes to reverse mortgages and probate.
Okay, great, Robyn. Thank you. One myth is that the bank owns the property. That's not true. The bank has a lien on the property, but the family still has the property. And they have the right to sell the property, and in many cases, that's what they're going to do. So that's myth number one. Another myth is that the heirs cannot keep the home. That too is a fallacy. The heirs, again, can pay off the mortgage. They have the first right of refusal. Someone in the family can step up and actually get a new mortgage. So the bank does not own the property. The family still does, and they have the first right of refusal to purchase the property. There's another misconception. These deals are too complicated. Now, we've talked about this in this episode. It's complicated if you don't understand the procedures of probate and the procedures of a reverse mortgage. Once you understand those procedures and how they work and how to work them together, probate and reverse mortgages become less complicated. In fact, they become very easy to do, and we do them routinely. So that's a misconception that keeps a lot of people out of the marketplace and keeps them not just ignorant, but they lose opportunity after opportunity. And that's both for the families involved in probate, because we've seen a lot of families, estates just walk away from a house and give it back to the bank. And they do not have to do that. And then there's another mistake. A lot of times families wait too long. They wait until the timeline of the 6 months is over. They have not done the probate yet. And so the clock is ticking. They have to move pretty quickly because the bank is going to move quickly if they do not. And so we've been able to intervene, though, Robyn, and help families actually stop the clock, save the home from foreclosure or short sale, and put money in their pocket. That's great because investors will scoop these deals up. We have investors looking for these kind of deals all the time. Part of what we do on this academy is train them how to find these deals themselves. We can still help them through the process, but now they bring the deal to us. They don't have to wait on somebody else to bring the deal to them. And then the final thing I want to address is investors make the mistake of not understanding the process. They think it's going to take too long. They think it's cumbersome, as what we just talked about. They don't know how to approach the attorneys or the PRs, and so they just let these deals go by the wayside. And some of these, Robyn, are unbelievable deals. And I think
we're going to take a look at
that.
another one in just a minute. But quick question for you. There's a timeline that you mentioned, and it's an important one. If the heirs want to sell the property and they realize that the bank doesn't own the property, do they have to notify the bank right away of their intention, or is there something that has to get done?
Well, remember, they're going to have to do what's called a legal notice. So the bank will be notified. They will tell the bank that their family member has died. But also, when you petition for probate, part of that petition is you have to notify creditors, heirs, and beneficiaries. Okay?
So if the house is in a trust, does that make a difference?
Yes. If the house is in a trust, Robyn, it does not have to go through probate. That's one of the great things about having a trust. The only issue is, though, trusts can be expensive to do. I mean, most people don't want to put out the money to have a trust done. Okay.
Now, you mentioned this important timeline. So let me see here. I'm curious, and I bet the viewers are too. What's the timeline compared to like a regular real estate transaction? And how do you expedite it and jump ahead of this the clock ticking?
Okay, well, there are actually two timelines, Robyn. The first happens when the person dies. If the property has a reverse mortgage on it, the due on sale clause basically is initiated. When a person dies, they have to then have 6 months typically. If a person dies, the state has 6 months to sell the property. So that's the first timeline. Now, they can get an extension, and most of the time that's what happens. The other timeline begins again when the person dies and the petition for probate has been done. Now, most people will wait a little while for that, but you don't have to. You can begin the petition for probate almost immediately after the person dies. Now, a timeline starts with that also. It normally takes about 45 days for the petition for probate to be completed and accepted and approved. Then letters of administration are given to the family. The letters of administration means that the family can now sell the property. Okay? So we're only talking about 45 days into a person's death that the property can be sold. So that can defeat the bank trying to foreclose. It can defeat the 6 months that the property has to be sold if it's a reverse mortgage. And so the family has, if they move quickly, they have enough time to dispose of the property, get the sold done, consummated, and put money in their pocket.
Oh wow, that's definitely clarifies it for sure. And this is a really good episode for you to save and just bookmark it for in case this ever comes up in your family life. Not you, Nate, but those watching. But this is really a topic that sounds complicated, but Nate's that probate guy is breaking it down to have it make more sense, hopefully, to you, and definitely share it with your friends or family if they're going through something like this. The information is right here. And
we have additional information on our website, Robyn.
Yes.
So of course they can go there too. A lot of free information.
Give that address.
It's www.thatprobateguy.com.
Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, this is definitely a valuable resource for you, and it's free. It's Nate's guide to the 4 R's of probate real estate investing. So you can either click the link or use the QR code to get your copy. Now, we have quite a few questions that have come in on this subject, and this is the time when we do go over those. So if you have any questions in the future and you want to get that addressed on our upcoming podcast, you'll send those in, by just looking at the description below, and you'll find the address there. And so we'll go right into our first question, which is, can heirs walk away from a reverse mortgage home?
Yes, the answer to that question is yes. They can walk away from a reverse mortgage home. And often that is the case, unfortunately, because they don't realize that the property, they may be able to make some funds from the sale of the property. Because they can be afraid of the process or daunted by the process, they don't do the research or have others help them do the research to find out how much the property is actually worth on the open market. And so they can walk away. It's a non-recourse loan, which means the property itself is the recourse that the bank has.
Okay. Number 2, what if the home is worth less than the reverse mortgage balance?
That happens a lot. So this is basically when the house is what we call underwater. In essence, the house is worth less than the mortgage owed on the house. This also complicates the matter too, Robyn, because most houses, probate houses, which we've talked about, need substantial renovation. And so that just adds fuel to the fire. So the bank is kind of stuck with this, but we've been able to, again, show investors why this is such a great opportunity for them, because they can negotiate with the bank to get the property, the mortgage reduced, and put that money basically in their pocket.
Now, is that the one on 529, this property? Is that an example where you did that?
Yes, this is a great example. I wish that people, especially investors, were aware of these kind of situations. Now, this property, as you can see here on the screen, it's a semi-detached home in Northwest DC. It's in Columbia Heights, which is a well sought after area in Northwest DC. This property was, the mother died and she had 3 children. The personal representative was trying to sell the house for quite a bit of money, over $1 million, but this house was in terrible condition. It is actually 4 levels with about 3 or 4 different entrances. When we talked to the attorney, when we talked to the PR in this case, we were able to encourage them to put the house on the market, because it was nearly $900,000 was owed on this mortgage, Robyn. But the house could only sell in the condition it was for much less than that. So what we did is we began to market the property, and we began to market it to investors. We end up having to do what's called, again, a short sale. It had a reverse mortgage. It was also a short sale, and it needed a lot of work. So we were able to negotiate the bank to reduce the price by over $220,000. We were able to sell this house for $680,000. The ARV, or after repair value, is a trademark that investors use, ARV. This property appraised for $1,450,000. Let me repeat that. Remember, we sold it for $680,000. The bank took a loss of over $220,000, and the after repair value was $1,450,000 in today's marketplace. So these are the kinds of deals that only one deal can make you enough money to last years.
Wow. Wow. That is an incredible example. And there you go, where you explained that the investor went on behalf of the sellers to the bank to negotiate that down and basically saved the deal for everybody.
Exactly. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did.
That is awesome. Very creative. I know you do a lot of creative deal making too, and you teach the negotiating tactics in your academy. Now,
Yeah.
moving on to the third question here. Can investors buy directly from the heirs or the estate?
Yes, they can do that. In fact, we encourage investors to do that because remember, a lot of the personal representatives may live out of the area. We have one right now. I think she's in California, and they have a property in Southwest. So they want to sell the property quickly, and they are encouraging investors to give them an offer. So if you're the first one there, a lot of times you will be the one that they pull the trigger with.
Right. There's an old saying in real estate, your first offer is your best offer, right?
The first offer is your best offer. Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true in probate in most cases.
Right. Okay. And by the way, if you're liking this episode, do give us a like and subscribe to Nate's podcast because you'll also get notified. Hit that bell. You'll get notified of upcoming episodes. Definitely subscribe. He would appreciate that. Now, the fourth and final, for now, question for this episode is, can the estate rent out the home while the reverse mortgage is due?
That's a very simple no, an emphatic no. Remember, the bank, you have to pay the bank off. After the person dies, they give you 6 months typically to basically redeem the mortgage. You can either pay it off, sell the home, or what have you. You cannot rent the house out. No, that is a no-no.
Is that ever negotiated in a reverse mortgage application up front?
No.
Okay.
You cannot do that.
Good question, though.
It's not done. It's just not done. Right. Great question. But the bank wants to be paid. The person has died. The estate has to be resolved. And so you cannot rent the property out. That, in essence, encumbers the property with a lease, and you don't want to do that. You can't do that.
You know, reverse mortgages have been around for a very long time, and it seems like they've had their day, and sometimes people shy away from them. And but I don't recall really hearing very much about combining this with probate as you are today.
Right. It's not a well understood process. And again, Robyn, investors tend to go for the low hanging fruit. And so when you say probate, that's a little higher up. And when you say reverse mortgage, that's even higher up on the branches. So, and when you combine those things, it becomes a difficulty that most people don't want to deal with. But, and I'll say again, it can be very, very, very lucrative.
Lucrative, and you're helping families in distress. So you're really doing an amazing job with all of that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And here's a sneak peek just to show you of some of the other episodes coming up because we're winding this one down. But as I said, do subscribe and take a look at some of these amazing episodes packed with content. And the one that we're looking forward to that's also very unique is Probate and Your IRA. That's coming down the pipe a little bit. I see pipeline on there. coming down the pike a little bit. Yes. So
that's a great one. Great one.
That's a really great one. And
Yes.
Mark your calendar because the next episode that we'll be talking about is Heir Psychology 101. So I'm sure that that's going to be packed with tips and information. And that is also where you can find more of Nate, that probate guy. And now you know why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot today, and you have really great resources in addition to this free guide. Nate, just touch on the Probate Prosperity Academy. I know I mentioned it, but just tell them a little bit more how they can get involved with you.
Well, it's very simple, Robyn. We are online, and the Probate Academy is a virtual training portal. So we do everything online. We have live training sessions as well as material embedded in the portal, everything from scripts to contracts to everything that you need, essentially. The process is there, and we go over it week by week until you learn. It's a 6-week training course, but it's packed with information. And we've got testimonials showing what we've done, how people have gone through this process and made money on the other end. And that's what's very important. You need to know that you don't have to spend a lot of, for 2 years. You don't need a license. You can get involved immediately and begin to make money in very short order. That's what this whole Probate Prosperity Academy is about. We want you to be successful in probate because there's a lot of probate out there with your name on it.
Yes. So you're learning from someone that has been doing this for nearly 40 years of success. So you're definitely going to help them come along and move along quickly.
That's exactly right. I look forward to it.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. It's been another educational episode full of lots of interesting information and very useful. So thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Robyn. I love this information we shared today.
Yes, and thank you, viewers. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Don't forget, if you have a question, pop it in the description or the comment field, actually, the comment field just below this video, and check out Nate's other 3 episodes that preceded this one.
Thank you.
All right, Nate? Bye for now. We will see you on the next one.
Bye-bye. Subscribe and hit the bell for every episode. Then grab your free probate real estate investing ebook and join the Probate Prosperity Academy, where smart investors learn to create generational wealth through probate real estate. Thank you for watching. See you in our next episode.